Have you ever wondered why the most polite people often end up last? Why those who always say please and thank you find themselves overlooked, undervalued, and exploited? It's not just bad luck. It's not coincidence. It's strategy, but not yours. What society calls politeness might be the very chain holding you back. Friedrich Nietzsche, one of history's most brutally honest philosophers, warned us about this over a century ago, yet few were ready to hear it. His message was clear. Excessive politeness isn't virtue. It's submission disguised as morality. Think about it. From childhood, we're conditioned to be nice, to avoid conflict, to prioritize others' comfort over our own truth. Parents, teachers, and authority figures reward this behavior not because it serves us, but because it makes us easier to control. A polite person rarely challenges the status quo. They rarely say no. They rarely demand what they truly deserve. Nietzsche called this slave morality, a system of values that glorifies weakness and submission while demonizing strength and self-assertion. He believed that traditional morality wasn't designed to help individuals flourish. It was designed to keep them obedient. But what's the actual cost of this excessive politeness? First, there's the psychological toll. When you constantly suppress your authentic reactions to please others, you're not just hiding your truth from the world, you're hiding it from yourself. Over time, this creates a dangerous disconnection. You start to lose touch with your own desires, boundaries, and needs. This isn't harmony, it's self-erasure. Studies in modern psychology confirm what Nietzsche intuited. Research shows that people pleasers experience higher rates of anxiety, depression, and burnout. They report lower life satisfaction and struggle more with establishing healthy boundaries. The brain's reward system begins to associate self-sacrifice with validation, creating a dangerous cycle that's difficult to break. Then there's the social cost. Contrary to what we're taught, excessive politeness doesn't earn respect. It signals exploitability. In social hierarchies, those who can't say no become resources for those who can. The chronically polite become emotional laborers, carrying burdens others refuse to bear. Look at any workplace. Who stays late without compensation? Who takes on additional tasks without recognition? Who hesitates to ask for raises they've earned? It's rarely the assertive, the self-assured, or the boundary conscious. It's the nice ones, those who fear conflict more than they value themselves. Nietzsche observed this power dynamic with cutting clarity. He saw that many social conventions serve not to elevate humanity, but to maintain hierarchies. Politeness often functions not as mutual respect, but as a tool of social control, a way to identify who will resist and who will comply. Consider how politeness manifests differently across gender, class, and cultural lines. Those with less power are expected to be more accommodating, more apologetic, more grateful for what should be basic consideration. This isn't coincidence, it's design. But perhaps most disturbing is how excessive politeness corrupts genuine human connection. Real relationships aren't built on perpetual agreeableness, but on authentic exchange. When you're pathologically nice, you rob others of the opportunity to know the real you. You offer a sanitized version of yourself, one designed to please but incapable of truly connecting. This is the great irony. In trying to strengthen bonds through politeness, you often weaken them through inauthenticity. Nietzsche didn't just diagnose this problem, he offered an alternative. He called for the revaluation of all values, a conscious examination of the moral principles we've inherited. Rather than accepting conventional virtues at face value, he urged us to question who benefits from our compliance and what we sacrifice in their name. His philosophy wasn't a call for cruelty or disregard for others. It was an invitation to authenticity, to align our outward behavior with our inner truth rather than social expectation. Nietzsche believed that true compassion comes not from suppressing your will, but from exercising it consciously. So what would a Nietzschean alternative to excessive politeness look like? First, it means distinguishing between politeness that serves connection and politeness that signals submission. There's a profound difference between basic respect and self-diminishment. One acknowledges the humanity in others, the other denies it in yourself. Second, it requires developing comfort with conflict. Healthy disagreement isn't a failure of character. It's often a sign of intellectual honesty and personal integrity. The ability to withstand tension without immediately surrendering your position is essential to authentic living. Third, it demands reevaluating your relationship with rejection. Nice people often fear disapproval more than they desire fulfillment. Breaking free requires recognizing that not everyone's opinion deserves equal weight in your decisions. Some people will dislike your boundaries precisely because they benefited from their absence. Throughout history, those who transformed society rarely won popularity contests. From Socrates to Gandhi, from Malcolm X to Marie Curie, those who moved humanity forward often faced resistance, ridicule, and rejection. Their impact came not from being agreeable, but from being necessary, from offering truths that couldn't be found elsewhere. This isn't an endorsement of callousness. It's recognition that meaningful contribution often requires disturbing comfortable patterns. As Nietzsche wrote, the individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. Perhaps you've felt this struggle yourself. The moment when saying what needs to be said feels simultaneously terrifying and liberating. The experience of setting a boundary and feeling guilty despite knowing it's necessary. The painful recognition that your niceness has become not generosity, but self-betrayal. The path forward isn't abandoning consideration for others. It's developing a more nuanced understanding of what true respect for yourself and others actually requires. Sometimes it's a kind word. Sometimes it's an uncomfortable truth. Discerning the difference is the work of a lifetime. So if you've ever felt exhausted by your own niceness, resentful of how others take advantage of your consideration, or disconnected from your authentic self, know that you're not failing at virtue. You might be awakening to Nietzsche's insight, that true strength isn't found in perpetual accommodation, but in conscious choice, in values you've examined rather than inherited, in boundaries that reflect not selfishness, but self-knowledge. The question isn't whether to be nice or not. It's whether your politeness serves genuine connection or mere compliance, whether it reflects your values or merely your fears. As Nietzsche would say, it's about determining whether you're living by your own values or someone else's. If this video resonated with you, share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever sacrificed your authentic self on the altar of politeness? Let's start a conversation about finding the balance between consideration for others and fidelity to ourselves. And if you want to explore more insights from history's most misunderstood philosophers, subscribe to the channel. We're just getting started.